David Hughes, what a pleasure.
And he very confidently goes, I can beat you. I can beat you. And I was like, mate, that's amazing. He goes, yeah, I can. He goes, get on the ground. I'm like, get on the what? He's like, it's jiu-jitsu. I didn't know this about jiu-jitsu, but it's basically just like cuddling, right? On the ground, though. And it was pretty silly to me, but, you know, I wanted to have a win. So I put the knife down. What? I'm not going in empty-handed, am I? I put the knife down, I get on the ground, and he just rolls about on my legs for about 10 minutes. And he wants to act like this is some sort of victory. And I'm just thinking, where is my money going? Do you know what I mean? Like, I thought he was going to come out of this as some sort of assassin. I'll be getting calls from his school, like, can you come pick him up? Because he's just taking out 6 kids in the cafeteria. And I'd have to try and hide my excitement. I had one call from the school a couple of weeks back, and they were like, you're going to have to come and get him. And I was like, oh, what's he done? Like, nothing, mate. It's nearly midnight, for sake. Can you just...
Hi, Blake. Thank you for joining me. Let's get official. We've been so loose and riffy and casual as good friends, but now let's get quite...
Yeah.
Quite,
so I'll be honest, I don't know where the fuck... Where's the camera?
I don't know. I think there's one over there, possibly. That might be you. And then I think I'm over here.
Can you make sure that when this goes out, we're zoomed in just on my upper half? Because I didn't realise. I saw the reels and I was like, oh, it doesn't matter. I just wore shorts and flip-flops. Hello.
We're trying a new camera angle where we just shoot. We shoot from the knees down.
Yeah, fucking fantastic.
And it's like that Pokemon. Like, who is this comedian? You got to figure out whose face it belongs to. No, we're going to a full body shot interview. But listen, we wanted to get in and have a little chat. I have the pleasure of knowing you.
Yeah, I have the pleasure of knowing you.
Then I thought about it and I was like, I don't really know David. We keep things quite surface level and riffy, but I want to get into some traumas. Thank you, my dear Joshy.
Thanks, Josh.
Hey, I don't know.
We're just chatting.
We're talking shit.
Yeah.
You just walk right into the shop.
Tell us when you want us to start, I guess. Like, okay.
I'm gonna keep these down here.
Are you really hungry?
No. It's gonna be a thing. It's gonna be a bit.
Oh, okay.
It's gonna be something.
Thank you.
All right. But yeah, so
I get water and you don't?
Hey, I've got my own little water in a little Yeti thing, like a turbo man.
It's not really a little thing, is it?
No, it's
quite huge.
Quite phallic as well, isn't it? Got a few dents in it. What did you do today? Did you go to the beach, I hope, or something in your shorts?
I woke up and then I went to the gym and then I came here.
Fantastic.
That's been my whole day.
Did you gig last night?
I did. Yeah.
Where was it?
Oasis. We don't talk about this.
We don't talk about that. Let's cut that whole segment.
Just at this other venue.
You just gigged.
Yeah, I just did a set somewhere.
And how was it?
Terrible. Really good.
Really good?
Yeah, it was great, man.
I knew it was.
Yeah.
I heard good things. The grapevine, they were like, David was on fire. I was like, that's weird.
Oh, no, I just mean the gig was great.
Oh, sure. The show as a whole. Yeah,
obviously, I was fantastic. What are you talking about?
You were 10 out of 10.
Yeah, of course.
Well, David, we've known each other for a little while now, like, a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years, I guess?
Well, I'm coming up on my 3rd comedy birthday. So we've probably known each other for about 2-ish, 2.5.
Yeah, 2-ish years. Yeah. It's flown by. Time flies when you're having sex. I got a couple of questions here. I want to get to know you on a deeper level. We've got some silly questions. We've got some serious questions.
All right.
Because I imagine some of the people at home, there'll be people watching that are like up and coming comics that want to learn about how to write like what would you say? A prodigy? You're writing prodigy?
I'd say genius probably.
Genius is probably better. Yeah, prodigy implies that it's like the power is out of your hands.
Yeah, man.
It was. It's all you. Yeah. But people want to know how to write coming up. There's also people just curious for a little bit of comedy knowledge and a bit of riff as well. So I want to know, when was the first time that you can recall ever seeing stand-up comedy? And do you remember who it was? Like,
yeah,
tell me.
It was Billy Connolly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, first comic that I ever saw was Billy Connolly, and it was inspiring for different reasons. So the first reason that I loved it was because it was this grown man swearing. That was what I found funny. That's how young I was.
How old were you?
Probably like, I don't know, 7 or something, 7 or 8.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
so
it was like
early Billy.
Yeah, really, really early. And I was like, oh, this guy is fantastic. Because I didn't know as well that was a thing that people did. Yeah. You know, I thought TV was just like the Cosby Show and stuff like that.
Sure.
Like, I didn't really... Exactly.
You're a sleepy girl.
And then I saw Billy Connolly, and I love the fact that he was just so animated and so fun. And then a few years later on, I also learned that he had a really terrible childhood. He was abused and
really?
Beaten.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and the side of me that also went through that would then look at him and be like, oh, well, if he can get out of this at the other end and like he's laughing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I always thought like, life is dog shit. It's horrible and it doesn't get any better. And I thought, well, he has had it really rough, and now I'm seeing him on stage making, hundreds of people, thousands of people laugh, and he is happy. I was like, there you go.
And he's using it too, right? He's like weaponized that roughness.
100%. But without, he never talks about it.
Yeah, I've never seen
it's not in his material. He doesn't talk about it in his material, but just the very fact that you know that a lot of experience and a lot of like, I guess, character building stuff that had happened, that he now uses, as you say, he weaponizes it, and that's his thing now.
That makes me love Billy so much more because as well as like he's such a silly comedian where in the sense that you can feel his energy. He just wants everyone to have a good time.
Yeah, and
like
he's super childish as well. Like
yeah.
he's a very kind of like has a beautiful childish way about him.
Yeah,
but
I mean, it's so funny you mentioned that it's his first one because that was my first guy I ever saw
really?
too. It was his 2-night stand special.
Yeah,
I think it's like what was that, like 1997, but it was a DVD. My granddad had it, and I watched it, and I remember seeing the same thing, and I was just like, this guy's crazy. He's so good, so animated.
Yeah.
And I wanted to actually ask you, did that influence your style, so to speak? Because your style, it didn't influence your style, but...
Because here's the thing, like, no part of him was something that I ever saw and went, oh, I could do that or anything like that. It was just, like I said, one, a grown-up is swearing, and I found that funny, and it was entertaining. And two, and definitely something that just I took with me for a while, was that this man had been through hell, and you wouldn't think it to look at him. So I just thought, like, he's the proof that I needed that you can get through whatever and then come out the other end and be happy.
That's awesome.
I was like, that's amazing.
That's cool, and it's such I mean, not to get political, but it's such the opposite of what you sort of see now. You know, it's like if they've been through a hard time, it's like you're gonna know about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Billy's was like, nah, it's like in spite of that, I'm gonna live a wicked life.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Years went by before I learned that about him.
Yeah,
and then I just had a bit
Billy's
more.
the guy. Billy's the guy.
I've got all his DVDs, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, but they're John Pinder's, but I have them all.
Can I borrow a 2-night stand?
You can have them all.
Oh, okay.
You can just have them.
You're just giving away Pinder's stuff?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, sweet. All right, I'm not going to give it back to him. It might be the same thing, but who is a comedian that you admire and enjoy immensely, and what is it about them that you admire? Now, this could be like in the scene today. Is there any particular... Yeah, it doesn't have to be of olden times. Someone working today.
There's a lot of them, but like, so more recently, I got turned on to Nate Bargatze.
Oh, how good is Nate?
Well, the thing is that not only is like how good is he, but how great is it that, I don't know about when you first saw him, but when I first watched him, I must have got about 20 minutes into one of his specials where I was like, oh wait, he's clean.
Yeah.
He's squeaky clean because you don't notice it. It's not contrived in any way. He's not avoiding saying certain things. I feel like he's one of probably the best that I've seen at just what I assume is his own natural voice. But I'm like, wow, that just seems like him. That just seems like, no act, basically. You're just up there telling stories. And it doesn't feel like he's pulling punches in order to fit a certain mold or like, be corporate or be... I love that. I thought that this is amazing. And I didn't think that I would like squeaky clean comedy like that. And I was like, he's fantastic.
It doesn't feel squeaky clean. It's so
it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't.
And it's funny because I think with Nate, I mean, if anyone hasn't watched Nate Bargatze, go watch. He's got some stuff on Netflix. But when you watch it, it's like he brings you to his rhythm.
Yeah.
And level. It's like when you start, I mean, when I first watched him, I was kind of like, this guy's pretty low energy. Like, I don't really get his thing.
Yeah.
And then within a few jokes, like, I'm with him and I'm like, like, I'm riding his wave. So that's cool. I remember thinking back when I did realize he was clean, like you said, it made me think about my act and I was like, God, I swear way too much unnecessarily.
100%. Because then
so lazy.
You start looking at not just the words that you use, but why you use them as well. You're just like, oh, am I doing this for like a cheap laugh? Like, kind of going back to the Billy thing, I didn't see them as cheap laughs, but when you like overuse those kind of words, they do lose their impact a little bit. Yeah. Maybe more so now than it was back then. I don't know, because obviously times have changed and we see everything now. But when I listen to my own sets and I go like, you didn't need to drop these little bombs in here. We can get rid of those. Yeah. And then the ones that you do decide to use, they have more impact.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I'm going to try and not swear at all forever.
Yeah?
Yep.
Fuck that.
That's good. Do you remember the first time you performed stand-up? Do you remember when it was and how did it go?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know
it was here. It was on this stage.
It was on this stage?
It was on this stage.
Me too, baby. You and I sync. Billy Connolly, Comedy Lounge.
On my birthday. So
oh, really?
Yeah, September the 17th, coming up 3 years ago. I opened for Pinder for his solo show for Tattoo Boy. And then the next show after it, I opened for Andrew Wolf for Circle in the Drain.
That was your first...
They were my first 2 gigs.
You opened for like the 2 biggest crushes in the
city.
In the scene.
But the thing is, so it was Pinder's idea. He was basically like, right, the stars have aligned. I've always been poking at you to do stand up, and you've always like pushed back against it because it wasn't really a thing that I thought was for me. But he was like, my solo show is at the Lounge on your birthday. Like, how poetic is that? Like, you've got to open for me. So I did, and it was my first time in a comedy club. My first time in a comedy club was to perform in it, and it was here.
You're a baller.
It was crazy.
And how did it go?
Crazy. It was great. It was great. It was really good. But I mean, it was just, they were so forgiving. They knew all the circumstances anyway. So it was a huge cheat code. People were like, oh, what, talk about being in at the deep end. It's like, it was the easiest.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like I
all these disclaimers, like it's his birthday, it's his
it's
first time on stage.
ever. Yeah, exactly. So
Sure.
people were just there, and there was you know what their crowds are like anyway. Like this is a specific crowd that came to watch Wolfie and Pinder, and it was like, you know, I was just a bonus, I guess. It didn't matter if I sucked; they were getting the thing that they paid for immediately afterwards.
But it's good because, I mean, I guess when you started, then you knew it was possible to get laughs. Like you get that initial hit. Because I don't know about you, but how long was it until you bombed? The next day. The next gig.
No, my next gig was a full weekend here. Again, like after those ones, I got booked for a full weekend. So I didn't actually do open mic for about like a month or so. Yeah. And then I did a few open mics, and they went fine as well because I had just been paying attention to what everyone was kind of doing.
Yeah, you had the awareness of what you can get away with. What
you exactly. And I roughly knew, you know, let's not forget as well, like I had been, by that point, I'd been a professional comedy writer for like about 5 years at that point too. So it's not like I was brand new to the whole comedy thing, or even writing like I'd written 4 stand-ups before, but I hadn't ever been on a stage. So I had a decent kind of idea, but I was just, it was the nerves, man. The nerves got me. But it was probably about another month, but I say a month, but probably only about 7 or 8 gigs in, then I was like, oh, you're not good at this. Fuck, you're not good at this, man.
But you knew it was possible by then. I mean, that's my process too, is I started here at the lounge, and I knew it was a hot crowd, and it just happened to be a good night. But then when I bombed, at least I started knowing it was possible. I admire those people that just start with bombs, and then they don't even know if it's possible until they get a good gig. Like that. Who are you? Because masochists.
That other way around, and obviously we know people that are in the comedy scene now that just still do it now, and they've been doing it for years. I don't mean that.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
What I mean is they're still in those realms Durkin. Of doing they're still in those realms of doing open mic gigs. Yeah. And that's the thing that they do the most. Sure. So they're constantly performing to, rooms of maybe like 15 people. It's hard to crush to like a tiny amount of people anyway.
For sure.
So, and then you get to, I always think of, the lounge especially as like it's like the reward for everything that you do now. Because, obviously it's paid the best, I guess, but it's also well attended, and the room is pretty much always hot. Yeah. So it's like, if you only did lounge gigs, you're not going to grow in the same way that you would if you were doing open mic all the time.
Agreed.
But the people who do it the right way around as opposed to how we did it, fuck. I don't know if I'd still be doing it. I don't know if I'd still be doing it.
I don't know if I could.
I'm too fragile for that.
Yeah, it's bad, man. I mean, you have a bad... I want to mention as well, you said you were a comedy writer before you did stand-up.
Yeah.
So what does your writing process look like? Because, I mean, I'm fascinated particularly by you, because I admire your joke writing. I put it in the highest regard, and it's like... someone told me the other day, I can't remember who it was another comedian. He said, some people start with good writing and they have to learn how to perform. And some people are good performers, but they have to learn how to write. And I think that's more on mine. I came from an acting background, and I have to learn how to write better. But what is your writing process like? Because I know it's a job for you. Yeah. And what do you do for that?
I mean...
I want you to crush some souls that you're like, I write 8 hours a day easily as well. It all comes out, it's gold.
Well, I have to you have to, because it is my job. Like there's certain things that you just can't put to one side. You know, like there is a structure that you have to follow. But writing for me is probably the hardest part of all of it because it's quite easy to write. Do an impression of a comedian that is going to be on a show or whatever, and also the buck stops with them. That was always the biggest thing for me. Is
You're talking about writing for other comedians.
For other comedians, like you bought it, you go do it on on this channel or whatever, or go and do it at your corporate thing or whatever, and then it's stops with you, where it doesn't. When you're writing it for you, it's that process for me is probably the hardest. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not really answering your question because I don't really know what my process is, Blake.
No, but that's good because I mean, number one, to hear you say that writing is hard is comforting because
it is. Well,
anyone who says it's not, I'm just like, well, then what? Am I just not good at anything?
Having ideas isn't hard. Like we all have like the little premises, and there's probably 3 or 4 bits that I'm doing right now that I'm like, I don't really know what I'm doing with them, but I know that there's something there.
There's something there.
Yeah, so now, I just have to keep fucking going at them.
What is that instinct that's like that you just know that there's something to this, and then there's something not?
Because you just have to trust that you know what's funny.
That's what.
You have a sense of humor. You see, like there's comedians that we watch and that we love, and we know that the thing that they're doing is funny. So we have a sense of humor.
Sure. And you got to trust your taste, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we've done it. Like we have jokes that we go like, that works. You've got jokes that work every single time that you do them, pretty much, right? I know it's a weird thing to say, but you do.
Absolutely.
It's
I could do them right now.
Exactly. But you do. But you've got those jokes, so you know that you have that ability. You know that you're capable. Then it's just finding the other, like the newer stuff, and going, right, what is it about this thing that I'm either really attached to for whatever reason, or is it just because this is funny and I really believe in it?
Yeah.
And then, like personally for me, it's to then write it out as many times as possible till it's like just the most concise script that I can deviate from if I need to.
Okay.
But it's so like, do you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. So you like to get so tight on the concept that you've written it out so much that you can kind of riff around the concept because you know it so well.
Yeah, and I can abandon it at any point.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, I mean,
that's fascinating.
You're an actor, so like when you have a script and you have to stick to it meticulously, when you know it so well, you can pick it up anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of goes with like being derailed, maybe like something happens in the audience and you have to go and then you come back. Like I like knowing that I know that script inside out, that I can just come back to any point and
that's a great point.
Not forget anything, basically.
And you don't mean that in terms of like knowing the inflections in and out?
To an extent I do, because that way when you decide to change them, you know, someone said to me recently about, it was Janelle. She was talking about another comedian, but she should have been talking about me. She said that their voice was boring.
Yeah.
She goes like, oh, that person's voice is just like.
She told me this was about you, but go on.
Yeah, it should be about me, but I just took it as like I'm going to assume that she's talking about me because she's right.
Okay.
I was like, there are certain things, and we had the conversation. And she said, well, there's certain jokes that you do where you could maybe, change the tone of your voice and stuff, and I didn't do that too much. So now that I know that script so meticulously and I know where I want my voice to change. Now if I change it a little bit and you get a different reaction, I'm like, all right, that's the thing. It's right there.
Yeah,
and you can pinpoint it. That way
you
can make the
yeah.
adjustments or take them or leave them or whatever. But
okay, yeah. This is interesting. I'm learning about sort of the writing process with you. Is there any pre-show rituals that you do before you get out and perform? Is there anything that you do that's like to keep you grounded or to keep the nerves at bay?
I accidentally fast because I get so nervous that I can't eat.
Okay.
Still,
accidentally fasting.
I don't know if that's going to ever go away.
It's the weird cousin of intermittent fasting.
It is.
You just accidentally fast.
Yeah, it's like somewhere between performance and poverty. But you end up doing it because.
Have you had tummy rumbles on stage? Like
never when I get up here. This is the thing. Never, but back there, it's terrible.
Okay.
And Mickey J told me to put my hands up to make myself like big and like powerful, and I was like, that is ridiculous. And now I do it every time I go on now.
I'm big and powerful.
Just before I go on stage, I like spread my arms up, take a couple of deep breaths, and then I go out. But I think it's more of a composure thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if this probably doesn't happen to you because you are a very experienced performer.
Don't tell me what I am going.
When I get on stage, sometimes I'll find myself short of breath. It's almost like a panic attack.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you mean. No, you don't.
Yeah.
No,
when I was like 6 or so.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, my first when I was playing Annie Hall. Go on. Yeah. No. I know what you're saying. You feel that. Am I going to freak out right now for a second? There's that awareness.
But I'm like, I can feel myself being short of breath. And I'm like, and then you have to kind of catch your breath. And that's an uncomfortable thing to have to do mid-sentence or, wait for the end of a joke and then go, like, lower the mic and be like,
oh, they love me.
But if I do that backstage, that tends to help a little bit.
Okay, that's cool. That's a good thing. One thing that I like to do backstage is Pinder actually turned me onto it. He's just like, it's sort of like remind myself that the audience is not against me.
Yeah,
that's one of the things. That's
one of the things he told me too. He's like, just remember that they came here because they want you to win.
Yeah, they're not hoping you. They're not hoping you bomb.
It's not the Gong Show.
Except it's the opposite when I'm baxtage. I'm like, they're against you. You have to fight them. Fight them. Well, speaking of fighting them and not going your way, classic bomb stories. Everyone likes to hear a bomb story. Is there any that come to mind? Any that shook you? Is any that you're like, maybe not necessarily a bomb, but somewhere you just were like, that was an awful experience. I never want that to happen again.
I mean, I've definitely had a few of them. And do you know what the common factor has been that I've noticed is that if I am at all comfortable before the gig or confident, I'm fucked. Yeah. So now when I know I'm always nervous. So when I embrace it now. I just embrace feeling like that. Yeah. Because I did a fringe show with Pinder. It wasn't last fringe. I think there was a fringe before it.
John Pinder we're talking about as well.
Yeah, and I felt great. Yeah. I was loose. I was like, and then I get on, I eat shit.
Yeah.
For like 10 minutes, I just die on my ass, and I was like, all right, you suck. And then even we did a gig a couple of nights ago, and I didn't realize that there was stuff happening that like music and stuff, so people couldn't hear everything.
Yes.
And I did my first joke. And not that my first joke is the greatest joke in the world, but obviously I open with it so it's strong enough that I know it will get a good response.
Yeah.
And it got nothing, Blake.
Yeah. And you don't mean nothing.
I mean nothing.
You mean people even know you were there.
I deliver the joke and I'm like, oh. Oh, God.
I'm on stage.
Yeah.
I'm
I almost.
The tap.
I was like, fuck.
This thing on.
But, I mean, if that had happened maybe like 6 months ago, that probably would have rattled me to my core and I would have done the rest of my set crying.
Sure.
But I just, for some reason, I was like, you know what? It is what it is. I'm here now.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, it's funny because there's something about honesty on stage, right? It's you can be too honest where you're like, oh, you guys hate me. And then they're like, we don't hate you. But now it's weird.
Now you're being weird.
Now it's weird.
You've made it weird.
But if you do fumble a moment or whatever, there's something about honesty that the audience seems to appreciate where you're like, that didn't work, but I'm still going to take care of you guys.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate the awareness. Rather than being like, everything's fine. So that's not good.
I think it's a combination of the vulnerability and then also showing that like you're comfortable enough to acknowledge it, and which means that you're probably experienced enough that you can take them the rest of the way comfortably.
Yeah.
So I think like they can relax and go like, all right, he knows what he's doing though, you know?
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, listen, I've got one more question and then I want to get into a little stand-up comedy quiz with you.
Ooh.
It's going to be fun. But if you could give your younger self any advice for the years ahead, what would it be? If you were to go back to young David, and you mentioned, that you had a fairly tumultuous childhood, is there anything that you could say, David, this is
just that it gets better.
Gets better.
It always gets better.
Yeah.
The thing that you're in always feels like the biggest shitstorm while it's happening. And I think if I could just go back and tell future me that that's not, it's always going to pass.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that has probably been said a million times before as well, but no one ever said it to me. But that has been the best thing. And it also applies to this situations where things are going amazingly and you feel on top of the world. Like, all right, but settle down, cunt, because
it's going to pass.
This will pass as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. It always gets better.
Yeah.
Or it always gets worse.
I actually got that from a shaman as well. That
was, really?
Yeah. Who ayahuasca?
Is that a guy or
the drink?
No,
the DMT.
DMT thing.
And he told me before I did it like 3 times with him, and he told me that you would experience a different kind of happiness and a different kind of sadness. And he said, but the most important thing is to know that you don't deserve either of them, and you're not going to be in either of them for a long time. I.e., to constantly be like, all right, where's my happiness? Where's my happiness? Is a ridiculous way to live because, one, it's fleeting, and 2, you don't deserve to be happy all the time, but you also don't deserve to be sad all the time. Yeah. So when they come, you experience them, and then you go through them, and then you get to the next point.
Yeah, that's a cool thing.
I wish I'd have known that a long time ago. That would have helped. Yeah.
Wish you'd done some ayahuasca a long time ago with the shaman.
I don't. It's horrible. Have you never done it?
No, I did 16 grams of mushrooms in Bali one time with no shaman, and it shattered my world. I still don't truly think I'm real. So I wouldn't recommend that. But it always gets better, always gets worse. That's nice.
Yeah, not advocating for drug use at all.
Hey?
I'm not advocating.
A little bit if you want to be cool.
You want to be cool.
Now we're going to get a stand-up comedy quiz going now. We like to know that the worst thing that can happen to a comedian, generally speaking, is that they bomb. But this is da bomb. So it is a hot sauce called da bomb, which I would argue is worse than bombing. It's made famous by the Hot Ones interview show. You know, genius steals and talent imitates. So
Josh, did you know about this?
Yep. Let's say get some chips.
So David, what I'm going to do is we're going to put a little bit of hot sauce on a chip each. Now we're going to be, we're not going to be too crazy with it, but we're going to do a stand-up comedy quiz. It's 15 questions. You have 2 minutes to answer them. If you get over 50%, I will eat the hot sauce chip.
All right.
If you get under 50% of the questions, you will eat the hot sauce chip. Or if we're feeling generous, we can both do it.
It's 15 questions.
15 questions in 2 minutes.
Oh, that's a lot of...
Isn't it? Well, that's
Oh,
too
Blake,
much.
you're out of your mind.
That's too much. Actually, you know what? That'll be mine. That'll be my one. So, there's a little...
I will adorn mine. I'll do mine.
You do
Yeah,
yours?
I'll do mine. Yeah.
You do yours, David.
What, now?
Now, we're going to get it there. I want it lurking over us as the time goes through. You got a water there. That's nice. That's actually a very smart way to do it. I'm probably going to ruin my day. Wiping it off. That's good.
You're insane.
Funny you mention that because this is called Da Bomb Beyond Insanity.
Are you getting paid for this?
No,
or?
not at all.
All right, cool.
All right, cool. So we're going to start a 2-minute timer. 15 questions, stand-up comedy.
But I'm stupid.
That's why I want to do this. And time starts now. A reference to a previous joke or theme later in a comedy routine is called a what?
Callback.
Name 3 different TV shows by Australian comedian Chris Lilly.
Is it the Brown? No. Fuck, no. No
Pass.
idea.
Number 3, a humorous play on words that sound the same but have different meanings is often referred to as a what?
Humorous play on words.
A humorous play on words, words that sound the same but have different meanings is often referred to as a what?
Double entendre?
Wrong. Pun. Who is the Australian-born comedian with Netflix specials such as Bear, High and Dry, and Intolerant?
No.
It's Jim Jeffries. A final and often strong joke to finish a comedy set is referred to as a what?
Closer.
Number 6. What is the city that hosts the world's largest arts festival that runs annually in which many comedians make their mark?
The Burbank Festival?
Edinburgh, incorrect. Number 7. Who often referred to as the
Edinburgh,
father of
that's
Australian stand-up comedy, famous for his comedic characters, passed away earlier this year?
It's the Dame Edna dude.
Correct. I'm going to accept it. Number 8. Name the late Australian comedian icon that hosted the Logies 18 times and won the Gold Logie 4 times.
Yeah.
Bert Newton. Number 9. A comedian receiving no or negative response to their material is referred to as what?
Shit.
Andrew Wolf. Number 10. What comedy special by an Australian was nominated for an Emmy and won the Edinburgh Comedy Award and a Peabody Award?
Yeah, keep going.
Nanette. What Scottish stand-up comedian received his knighthood in 2017, weeks before his 75th birthday?
Billy?
Billy Connolly! Correct. Number 12. What US stand-up comedian became a Hollywood star and has many on-screen collaborations with The Rock?
Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart. What Australian stand-up comedian and TV host had the catchphrase, "Say hi to your mum for me"?
Is that Rove?
Rove McManus. Number 14. Stand-up comedian turned actor Robin Williams won an Oscar in 1997 for his performance in which film? Good Will Hunting. Number 15. A person interrupting a performance with comments and or questions is often referred to as a...
Heckler.
Cunt. Wrong. Heckler. That is time. 2 minutes on the dot. David Hughes.
I got like 4.
You got 5 out of 15.
Yeah!
So that is under 50%. So, David, you'll be having to bomb. But in solidarity, because you're a good sport and I love you very much, I'm going to have mine too.
All right, cheers.
I'm going to rip it off a little bit. Yeah. Cheers to you, buddy.
Cheers.
See you on the other side. All right. Oh, it's bad immediately.
Oh! Well, we're not doing that. Are you mental? Are you mental? Oh!
David Hughes, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh! Oh!
David Hughes, what a pleasure.
Oh!
Are you gigging tonight?
Not anymore!
Have a great gig. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Oh.
You ate it. You ate it.
He's perfect.
I'm going to throw up. This is not how you break a fast, Blake.
Oh, you had a fast. You're fasting.
Huh? Yeah.